That area, you're like, oh, you're all locked up here. I've been kind of putting like that ball on the ground and then just kind of like doing snow angels or just the lifts, trying to just crack stuff up.
Get that shoulder blade to open up.
Yeah, it just feels like it needs to just spread out and like drop and just sit like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So what happens, we constantly breaking our muscles down, you know?
But like the lower it goes, I've noticed this pec gets more and more engagement when I flex up here. Like it's like this shoulder needs to pull down and back to get there. So we're getting there slowly.
Shoulder blade like positioning is so important with everything.
Yeah.
It's like all I'm trying to teach half my clients is like how to get their traps to set down, their shoulder blades to drop.
Yep.
It's just something that doesn't happen in our daily lives anymore. Everybody's sitting at a desk. Like I was saying, when we're both 40 plus, 41, 43. When we grew up, it was how tough could you make your skin? So everybody was just like berating each other, And now it's like why people started getting so offended about shit. I think, like I said it before, there's so much other things going on in the world to worry about. We're all the same. Pigmentation of the skin, now there's peptides that will change that. So what makes it, it's like we all the same at that point.
I'll give you an example. Growing up when I was little, we had like basketball players that we loved and football players that we loved. And we'd have like 10 of us friends playing football or whatever, just meeting at parks and everything, or basketball. And we would joke around and it would be like, all right, we want a white guy on the team, so you got to be John Stockton, or or a good shooter. But then if you want to be dunking and doing all this glitz and glamour, like we want Larry Johnson and we want the black guys. Or for football, there's no white cornerbacks back then. White guys were like quarterback, maybe fullback and running back sometimes. But then all your speed things, they were all black guys. And it wasn't racist, it was just that's how it is.
We're working on like more back width today. We have 2 back days. This one's focusing more on width. So we're gonna be doing Teres major to start. We'll create like more of the start of the V. And then we're gonna be working on a lot of like iliac lat, lower part of the lat. This is gonna be Teres major. So we're gonna think about pulling the elbow more back and down to engage that as opposed to driving that elbow straight down. So you're gonna be up first. We're gonna go 10 reps and then 2 down, 1 pause, 2 up, 1 pause. So more control tempo. I'm always constantly checking like key points for form to make sure muscles are engaged, we're in the right place. Obviously, if we're not in the right muscle, there's no point to progress into that until we figure that out. And a lot of people, obviously, this movement's pulling you up. A lot of people want to just let those shoulder blades go and raise as high as they can. But I try to keep everybody's shoulder blades depressed, keep that muscle engaged. We got 2 more. We almost want to go like less is more. We're focusing on tempo right there. We're focusing on tempo, muscle activation. So as long as all these things are happening, the muscle stays on. That's way more important than what weight we're lifting. And then people do that in reverse. They want to progress weight and then they start losing control. They start pulling with their biceps. They start pulling and finishing the movement with their shoulder blades elevated. And then they're not going to get the most out of the movement. So find the muscle, find your tempo, find your rest periods and all these other things. And then you can go up in weight. So that's how we're going to actually have these metrics to progress, as opposed to just trying to go up in weight and you are not controlling anything else. Really hard to graph that. I'm a big like numbers guy, so we want to keep everything down.
He taps my traps, I let my shoulders come up, and then I'm pulling with my arms more. So he touches the traps, then mentally I know, okay, drop the traps back down, engage my lats to pull me down, and then I'm in that position again.
Sucks, It's like, yeah, we can lift more weight, but you're gonna grow anywhere from like 5 to 20 reps. You can still grow, but we want to find that spot that's like a good mixture for us, keeps us safe, and that's what we want. Like I'm 8 weeks out now today. I still want to be able to train hard, but I need to be able to keep myself safe. And that's how we do it. Keep that muscle on, and you can definitely feel that blood flow. I'm always looking for whatever muscle we're working on. We want to see blood flow change, skin flush. We know that muscle is being trained. And if we're not engaging it, we just gotta figure it out. I say we go up.
This is your show, my friend. This is your show, Kimosabi.
8 weeks from today, June 13th in Vegas. So I weighed in at 213, definitely leaner this week. I'm trying to get a little ahead of the game because we're supposed to do a burger next Saturday. So, which is fine, really, I gotta get to 209, so it's not that far of a jump. I leaned out pretty well, so now it's just maintaining like fullness. I mean, for me, there you go. Let's go 2 more. For me, it's trying to better myself and just kind of raise the bar on myself. So, you know, first show I did, I had really bad body image, and that's why I did the show. So I'm like, I'm just gonna throw myself out there. It was hard for me to even take my shirt off in public, you know, so I did it to rip the Band-Aid off. But then, like, my first show, you're always comparing yourself to everybody else. You're backstage like, that guy's bigger, that guy's this, that guy's that. And then after the first show, and Mike could probably attest to this, is like, you're trying to just beat that look, right? So, you know, your first show, it's like, you're backstage looking at everybody. Yeah. You're like, oh man, that guy's got crazy legs, look at that guy's lats. Then you step on stage, get your pictures, and now, next show, it's like, I just have to look better than this, you know?
Elevate this look to look better next, to look better, you know, just keep going, get better and better.
And, you know, my thing is like, this is my life. You know, I'm 41 now. I started training when I was 19, and this is my passion. So I want to practice what I preach. I prep people, you know, I coach people. So I want to be able to do that and be competitive as long as I can. That way people, you know, it's like, I'm my own product. If I'm doing things, winning shows, then, you know, that's going to be more sellable than somebody that's not. I'm not saying that somebody that can't coach. I'm just saying it's attractive when somebody's like, oh, I've seen this guy, he did really well at the show, and I want to work with him. I want a hamburger.
That tension all the way down, then a little bit of that hold all the way up. That, like, look how long that set was, and it was only 10 reps. Just wearing the muscle out big time. 180?
Yup. We gotta get it. We got shit to do. So this is getting heavy, so obviously, like, it's gonna start pulling us out of form. What's happening is, there you go. It's getting harder and harder for him to anchor his shoulder blades back and down. There you go. 2 more. And so we just get to that point, right? We have to know when we're at that spot. I always have like reps in reserve, so I want to keep first rep and last rep looking pretty similar. And that perceived exertion with like the reps in reserve keep us being able to achieve that, not hitting failure. Obviously, sometimes it happens, like he probably couldn't have gotten another rep. That's all information that we collect and like use it to figure out what we're doing. But yeah, so for him, it's like our teres major is like adducting the arm, but also there's like upward rotation happening when our arm is coming up. And so you have to be able to get that shoulder blade to like bury back down so that teres major can pull correctly. And then as it gets heavier, it's harder to get those, like that scapular like depression, retraction thing. So people end up the shoulder blades high and then just kind of pulling in through their bicep or just not anchoring the shoulder blade, which creates a problem.
And then, you know, like you kind of start coming off the seat.
Well, is this too high?
No, it's good. It's just, it starts getting heavy.
It's yeah, 180. That's almost more than I weigh now, my skinny ass.
You see, stops right before it like lifts him, right there. And then he doesn't let it like yank him up. Come on. Yep.
It's lifting me up. Maybe I weigh less than 180. Maybe my scale's off. That's always my worst fear, is my home scale's off. Because I'm like right at weight cap. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 208. I show up and like, you're 215. I'm like, fuck.
Well, remember when we were trying to figure out how tall I was? And you were like, this is like a 12-pound sway, so we got to figure it out. So we measured myself here on this scale, and then it was like, I don't know if that's right. And then I think I went somewhere else. Then at home, I had the boys mark me on the wall, and then we took 2 different tape measures. And I think this one in here said I was like taller than I was or shorter. It was one or the other, and I was like, oh damn, that was a big sway right there.
I swear I wake up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, and like I'm pissed off for some reason, and I program at that time to fuck all my clients up, and then I'm like working out with them. And it's like, all right, well, guess I did that to myself. 2-2, 2 up, 2 down. We're controlling shit. So single arm, neutral grip, single arm, pull down, stay tall with your chest. This is targeting more iliac lat, which is the lat fibers that come through and attach into like the hip area. So they're the most, like the widest part of the lat. So that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to build like a Dorito shape. This is gonna help with that. But it's all about control. We got one more. It's all about control, keeping that shoulder blade from always like raising up. I always want my clients to learn how to control their shoulder blade. And as they learn how to do that, they can start to like actively stretch stuff and kind of open the range up a little bit. But at the start, it's just learning how to like drive straight down into the hip. If we start driving back or leaning back, we tend to get into more that teres major that we just did. It's also why we do it first to exhaust it, so that this is more the primary focus. Keep that elbow into the side. There you go. Chest is tall. Good, one more. Does that feel heavy?
I'm trying to do the tempo, but yeah, it gets hard because like, I don't know, it just feels like a long time under tension.
I mean, it is, right? It's like 2, so 2, 1, 2, 1. We got 6 seconds per rep. We're doing 10 reps. That's 60 seconds, time under tension. That's what I'm wanting to, that's like the bottom end of it. And people don't realize, try to do something 60-second time under tension when you're not used to it, because a lot of people aren't, and it fucks them up. You know, they can do like 3 plates on bench press, you know, bouncing it and just being all herky-jerky. Then you take 135, control it. They got more blood flow, more, you know, more fatigue, and you know, that's just how it goes.
He talked about, he teaches his clients to keep their shoulder blade anchored down. When I met him, my back workout was basically teres major. Every exercise, just pulling through teres major because I didn't know how to do it. And so, yeah.
See it like, so the good thing about me, I would say, is I can take my client, I can identify the weakness, and then I can actually tell them how to train. And you have to be able to identify, train it, and I can, like, you just see everybody pulls with their bicep
Right now,
and their
I'm watching
teres major. Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah. And then you just see the way it looks, right? Because they have like under their armpit, it's like this giant mass. And also the teres major, when it's really overpowered and strong, it'll cause scapular winging. So now your shoulder blades are ripping away from your rib cage. They don't know how to anchor lower trap, which is basically pulling that back down. Then they just get scapular winging. They get like this big weird looking upper back, no lats, you know.
He's describing what he did from when he met me to now. So, and then that's harder to engage your pecs when you have a scapular winging too. So it's full circle, both sides, yes.
Everybody's putting the cart before the horse. It's like, how much can I pull from A to B? How much can I pull down? And then you're just not informed. How much can I, it's called a pull down. How much can I pull down? So it's like you're not even in the muscle to begin with, and you're progressing weight and fucking up, and you're just messing up. And now you're on the wrong train, headed the wrong direction. It's like, at some point you got to get off and fix it, and most people don't, and then they just end up causing problems. People do single arm pull downs, and it's like still just a teres major pull down because they're leaning back, they're trying to lift too much weight, they're not pulling straight vertically into the hip. But this is how you are going to get pretty decent lat width. Connecting with it's hard, but we're trying to have a big ass wide back for this show. So I went up, yes, I did. We got shit to do. I have to win. I got to get a burger. You know, I loved when I see it because you should get these big guys, right? 6, there you go. And you start getting them to connect with these fibers and not just have the strong stuff take over. 2 more. And then they're shaking at 40 pounds and you're like, we've lined up what we need to line up, and now we can progress. And now that's going to change what the back looks like. Not just getting stronger and pulling with the wrong shit. Think of it like a spaceship. If you're not lined up properly, and you're going to take off and you're going to end up in the completely wrong place. And we're in here, we're working, we might as well 6, train with intention, kind of know what we're doing. Good, 1 more. There you go.
In the Bible, it does talk about the firmament. It does say something, I don't know the specific words, so don't, get mad at me, but it says something like, God says the earth does not move, something along those lines. And then they kind of just say, like, if you tell everybody that we're just a ball spinning in space, that makes you think less of yourself because you're not a creation. But if we were the center of the universe, the earth.
I mean, ignorance is bliss. Like, obviously, when shit was happening, like, we didn't have the technology and knowing like that the earth isn't the center of the universe type of thing. Even if we're not alone, which is ridiculous to think. Why wouldn't God be part of that?
Exactly.
You know, it's like we only have our perspective. Just like any argument, there's always different sides. Yeah, there could be another planet with a God that's saying the same shit.
All I know is I don't believe anything the government throws at me.
Well, the government is one thing.
Nothing.
I'm just thinking about food.
I don't care what you believe, what politics you are, what race, any, like nothing. I don't care about any of that. It's not gonna make me dislike you or whatever, but talking to an older guy and they're like, Israel is our greatest ally because they've just been conditioned that bullshit their whole life. And I was like, bro, I would love to see that place like a parking lot, just leveled. And then they get mad and it's like, why are you mad what I think when, you know, like you're trying to make me believe what you've been conditioned, you know, your whole life from the media. I love it.
I got too much shit going on to like worry about what everyone else is worrying about. I'm like, guys, worry about yourself. Maybe if everybody worried about themselves and helped the person next to them, the world wouldn't suck so much. It's a lot of work to get patient enough to control yourself. But you know, growing up, shit, I was like, let me get into a fight. I fought anybody. I pulled people out of their car, out of their window for like honking at me for like, you know, being at a green light too long or some shit. So I'm not proud of that, but yeah, I did. I was angry. I mean, my life, and we'll probably get into it on, you know, like the Underload podcast. My life started off pretty rough. So I grew up mad. I was angry all the way through, you know, and you're just lashing out. You start to understand that. You start to learn from like, oh, if you do A, then B is the consequence. And then you just like start getting tired of that shit and you don't want that anymore. And then for me, it's like my soul being clean and being a good person, whether somebody hurts me or not, I still want to be a good person. And I still want to feel that way about myself, and everyone else can do what they're doing. And it's not gonna fuck me up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the conspiracies I'm not sure about. They say the most missing people go missing in national forests. That's crazy.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's
Bohemian Grove is. So we used to camp pretty close to it, and that shit is like locked up like Fort Knox. Oh, it's weird. Like it's strange. But yeah, there's some weird shit there. They like pray to an owl god. There's like a fire. I'm like, you guys are sacrificing something. It gave off eating baby vibes for sure back in the day. I'm like,
don't they have like a bunch of like elite type people always go out to that area?
That's what the Bohemian Grove is. That's what it is. It's like the elitist and it's an all men's thing. How much our government doesn't care. You know? I'm like, it's just so weird. It's like, we're gonna send X amount of dollars here. You're like, there's way worse things happening right now. Like even homeless, like mental health. I think mental health is one of the biggest problems, period. And it turns into so much other shit. All right.
That's crazy. That's fucking wild, man.
But you gotta train iliac lat to get that width, or you're just gonna have this weird like Teres major upper back width and then nothing. You know, and muscle contests started getting pissed off that nobody had backs anymore. And they're like, we gotta do a seminar. Yeah, so I mean, and that was my feedback. My last show was legs and back. And then everyone's like, dude, your legs are huge, your back's huge. I'm like, well, that's what they told me to do. You know, it was just more for my frame. Like my legs weren't as big, my back wasn't. I took a year off just to work on those things, you know. I wanted to I didn't mind not competing. I just wanted to compete at a high level. There you go, 3 more. You know, and that, you know, I don't mind taking the time off to do the work, to come back and be competitive and win. So, and that's the thing, like some people they want to compete because they're like using it as a distraction. And it happens all the time with bodybuilders. Their lives fall apart because they're putting all this time and effort and money into these shows, and they you know, I'm second place, and they're just beating their head against the wall. I'm like, take the time off. I don't get it, but I see it all the time. You know, being in the industry and working on athletes like bodybuilders with my body work, you know, they're hey man, can I pay you next week? Hey, this, that, or you know, I can't come in and get body work because I have to do this. And it's like, I love bodybuilding. I would never let bodybuilding affect my life, like financially. So, that's one of those things that I think just you got to be smart about it. Bodybuilding takes a lot of time. You have to be selfish, and I think you have to have your head on straight because it is an expensive sport. You're not getting paid until you get to an elite level, even if you do. So you're doing this like sweat equity. You got to be smart about it. Me, I was like, okay, I'm just real. I'm gonna be hard on myself. I wasn't gonna win until I made those changes, and now I made those changes, and I feel confident that I'll be like competitive, because you have to put everything else aside, and you have to be selfish. And it's like bills, fuck, whatever. I'm just gonna go into debt, and then I'll figure it out when I'm done with prep. And it's like, fuck that, dude. I'm trying to make money and be happy, and this shit is important to me, but not that important. And no hobby ever should be.
You were like, don't lean, because I was like leaning back, trying to get into it. You want me here, tight, and then pulling down, under, correct?
Everybody tries to do that when they don't have that, like being able to pull their shoulder back and down with their lower trap. And so they end up just like arching their back and like trying to like throw their hips forward. Just a control thing. So with him, it's like brace the core, ribs in and down, so that we can anchor that space and then connect with our lat a little bit better. We still want to focus on, like, obviously lat is pulling, but we want to focus on trap, pulling down and back, getting those shoulder blades to open up, have a big chest. You see a lot of people that'll just come through, they won't anchor their shoulder blade, and it just ends up like this. We never really want that shoulder to get pushed forward in that joint like that. This is pretty good form. So we're pretty much what we look for is, I'm kind of always watching here to make sure there's no like forward movement, like that thing's getting pulled, like pushed forward into that joint. And then obviously like muscle activation if that's on.
That was probably the first set I've done where he didn't have to correct me. So that was a good set, yeah. Before I would try and get my shoulders back, I would like open my rib cage, and then it was like I can't get down. So it's kind of like when we do the RDLs, keep this tight and then just bring the shoulders back like he is right here. So see, he's not like arched.
So, I mean, we're focusing on pulling through our lats and then stacking this shoulder blade and getting these shoulder blades to pull back and down. It's one of those things where it's a control thing for him, really focusing on, because he was so upper trap dominant, getting the control of that shoulder blade, right? That's the majority of what I'm trying to do with my clients. I don't think I have one client that we didn't have to touch point on that. Once we do that properly and get the shoulder blades moving properly, like upwardly rotating, moving, tracking along the rib cage, then everything else is easier. Like shoulder pressing, those shoulder blades still need to move, right? And
I think it's just back to no one knows how to do back. So, they learn everything.
Yeah. Like I said, like Teres major is super tight. It scapularly wings the shoulder blades. Now everyone's like this, and then they're like benching from here and pressing from here, and then you look like a question mark, and there you are. Gym etiquette, don't be a dick, because honestly, like this equipment costs a lot of money. I always was told to like treat people's stuff like their own, so like, let it last. We're all using it. If you break shit by slamming weights down, fuck you, you're affecting everybody else. So the only time I ever slammed weights down is when I did weightlifting, like Olympic lifting, snatch and like clean and jerk, because it's a safety thing. But that's why they make rubberized plates and platforms, and you can safely drop them. But no, I mean, can you hurt yourself? Possibly. You're turning the muscle completely off. If you randomly like engage it, maybe, but it's more just this control stuff. There's a lot of different reasons that we do it. Safety is one of them. Time under tension is another one of them. So as he's getting tired, his shoulders are just coming forward. So I'm just cueing him to not let that movement finish with like shoulder protraction. As you get tired, it's like you're able to come here, that muscle gets fatigued, and now you start finishing like that.
But like my mind doesn't know it's doing it, because it's just so fatigued and tired. I'm just kind of trying to get through the exercise. Then he taps it and it's like, oh yeah, and you kind of just drop it down and then find it again.
I had 2 today, yeah. But yeah, I woke up at 3:30. I wake up early because normally I have my 5 a.m. clients here, and so I just don't like to mess up my flow. Yeah, We're still gonna focus on more scraping the floor, elbowing the wall. As we pull back is when we're gonna try to arch that middle back.
But don't like, you know, like.
Yeah, no. We never want to do that. I hate that so much. You see these people like trying to show you how to do a row and they're just like fucking round and just like, you got to get this huge stretch. It's like, no, you don't. Your lat doesn't work that way. There's a pro, right? And he's like, what you got to do is, and he's talking about how to get like your lower lat with like a single cable row. And he's like, you got to like let this arm roll through and stretch. And then you got to pull through. I'm like, no, dude, that is awful. Don't do any of that.
When you watch him though, he stretches and then you're like, oh, he's got to be at breaking point, and it just keeps stretching. And you're like, what the hell's going on here? But he's big, so it's like, I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah, but if you look at his back, it's all just, his back is basically just teres major, erectors, and that's it. It creates like the T, like an old school, how there's like a frame, but the actual kite itself like creates that, and then there's no this, it just looks like
But I don't know, there's something about his videos though, like he went down and he did a squat, and he like went down into a cannonball, and then he like kept cannonballing.
Lats don't really benefit from like stretch mediated hypertrophy. So when you're doing all this weird stretching shit, don't do that. You're not gonna get any benefit for your actual lat. If you wanna focus your lat, if you just wanna focus moving your shoulder blades, then do that shit. But doing more of like an upper back focused row. So we're kind of like pulling through, this is where we are pulling through transverse part of the traps, like rhomboids, backside of the shoulder. Still trying to get those shoulder blades to finish back and down. You'll get a little bit of like thoracic part of the lat involved too. We're just trying to fold your back in half. Today is more of just a bit like bonus back day where we're working on width. This is just helping promote a little bit more denseness to the back. That's fine.
That's where I felt it.
Yeah, just make sure that you're ending with like that shoulder blade back and down. I always see like the memes where like this song is playing, where like this is what we grew up on, and kids nowadays are just like so pussy. And we grew up on this shit. It's like fuck you. And
Yeah,
click you
we had like the shirt that had like Tasmanian Devil and Bugs Bunny and backwards clothes like crisscross.
Yeah.
Listen to this going to like elementary school.
Yeah. Where's my chocolate milk at, bitch?
Freaking fighting and throwing rocks at kids before class.
I just want food. I just want food.
Are you fasted right now?
No, I ate 100 grams of oats, 250 grams of egg whites, and an egg. And the egg was good. But it goes by like that, you know? You're like moving so fast. I'm trying to get in a little bit more of a deficit so that I can have that burger next Saturday. It'll be worth it. Just let this open up a little bit when you come through. It's like active stretch. We don't want to let it go, but we want to let it open. 10 years old listening to fucking Tupac. Hell yeah. There we go.
How many?
Let's go 3 more. Come on, get the chest tall.
Mine used to open up, meaning shoulders roll forward. Yeah. Now I can keep it down and back and let it basically open up from below. You know what I mean?
I always think of it as like if somebody was hanging for their life and I'm like holding on to them. The first thing I would start to give would be like my shoulder blades start to like give. Yeah. But I'm trying to hold them back, right? But that feeling of like actively holding on to them and then just kind of opening up through tension is what it kind of feels like to me. Where everybody more like just lets them go.
So we have the analogy of letting somebody go off a cliff for back, and then pushing the refrigerator away from the wall for chest. So those are 2 analogies so far.
It works though. Being a trainer for so long, you like have to be patient and just try different shit to get people to connect, or like how they learn. The demon spawns are showing up. We got to get out of here. Good. 12. Let's go 3 more. 1, 2, 1 more. I've always said this, the most useful or useless piece of equipment in here was a vertical leg press that we had. And it's a big ass blueprint and no one uses it. And I even just used it for a while to see if people would start using it. And they kind of did, but it's just kind of one of those things where nobody really has the mobility to not get hurt from that piece. And so it's gone. I was talking about it with one of my clients the other day, and like the next day we show up and it's gone. I'm like, I wonder what they're putting there. Reverse fly, like a posterior delt fly, where you're focused more on keeping your shoulder blades from moving. And then you could do like a reverse fly where you're getting your shoulder blades are like protracting, retracting. We're doing that today because we're focusing on the rhomboids, the traps, scapular retraction, depression, and then obviously like posterior delt is going to be in that movement too. But we're trying to get the shoulder blades to be able to pull back and down, and then actively open up and stretch. Two, three, two. Like guys don't work their legs out. It's weird. Like you see them, and you're like, oh, that guy's got a good shoulders and good, and then you're like, that's good to, oh. And it's just like,
Yeah, like a good upper body, and then all of a sudden, like we saw his legs, and it looked like his butt was eating his shorts. He had like no legs.
Have you ever seen SpongeBob SquarePants when he like shows his leg off, and he look, and it's just like this little like just pole. That's what I see. I'm like, yep. And it's the funniest shit. Or like a girl, like most girls work their legs out, so you'll see a girl and she's got bigger legs than her boyfriend. That should be illegal. That's a hate crime of some sort. It was funny, like it's always been that thing. I knew it. I talked to Rob. Rob's my homie, and we were trying to meet up and train for a while. So I'm glad that happened. But you know, it's always cool to open somebody's eyys like that and get them to the point where they're like, oh shit, I wasn't training right. I've always helped people. I was an EMT. I've always loved helping people, but I'm also not an asshole to where I'm gonna be like, go up to someone and be like, dude, you suck. This is how you do it. And I joke around. I'm not, anything I'm saying on here, don't take a shit seriously. I'm just joking around. I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but I've went to put a dumbbell back, missed, and it was like the old school racks, kind of like this one, but missed it and it slipped off the back end and smashed my finger in between the dumbbell and like the metal. And so I did that once. I've dropped a plate on my toe once, and then from that point on, you're like, I better have a fucking good grip on this shit. You know, you learn. I dropped a 100-pound plate on my foot. Let's go 3. 1, 2. There you go. Yeah, I only do that one time, and you're like, yeah, okay. The last movement today, we're doing kind of stretching, opening up the lat now, getting more blood flow. So this is kind of, we've been like contracting the lat so much. We're trying to kind of get a nice stretch through, open those iliac fibers up a little bit more. I mean, obviously we want to go as much of a stretch as we can. Depending on muscle tightness, everybody's going to have a little bit more or less range of motion of that. And then for this one, I just tell them to come up to the point where the lat doesn't turn off. So we're not going to come up to where our joints are lined up vertically. It'll get to that point where that lat doesn't have to be in that pulling position. So yeah, he's stopping just short of that. So this will stay on, which makes time under tension, makes it a lot harder. There you go. We're gonna go 3. Good. 1, 2, one more. Back should be fried. This is 8 weeks out, so I think after this week, I'm gonna drop down to 5 days a week training and just make sure I stay healthy, because you start getting depleted, you start getting dehydrated, or like you just start getting low on energy, low on calories, and you can end up hurting yourself pretty easily. You want to stay away from that.
Especially after this movement, just freaking just like filling it up with, I don't know, just it's big, bro. Like down in there, like the lower back density, but like how we talked about at the beginning, a lot of people pulled through their teres major on everything. So me and Peter really only have like maybe one off season, if you want to call it, of trying to build my whole back. So now that we've had a whole year to do it, there's a lot of growth down there. So yeah, this is definitely one of those movements, pulling the whole lat.
Chest is always going to be a little, like we're still lengthening pec minor. That's still happening. But yeah, if you can get a little bit more chest involvement when we get a little bit farther into the movement. Now some people, like this stuff is still opening up, it's still stretching out. It's not firing in the way we are with our lat on the way up, but you could still technically bias it if you wanted to. We just aren't. And then comes up and attaches to the shoulder blade. So when you're coming here, it is opening up, and it does fire that way. So you technically could, if you were doing this like on a on like a decline. There you go. Let's go 3 more. Then you could get a little bit more of that involvement. 1. Good, 1 more.